Hey, Kurt Mortensen here, Persuasion tool number 4. Let's focus on a sales tool, something to help you out. You can use this in negotiation and other aspects of your life, but here is the word of the day. It's Zeigarnik. That's how you spell it, Zeigarnik effect. Basically, the tendency we have to remember uncompleted thoughts, ideas, or tasks more than completed ones. This is important because when we're left hanging, it drives us crazy. We want to know the end of the story, the missing piece. We want our tasks to be completed so we can check them off our list. And when we can't, when it's unfinished, it's known as the Zeigarnik effect. This is why when something's uncompleted, whether it be a thought, idea, or task, we remember it more. This comes back to Bluma Zeigarnik. There's a picture right there, who was a psychologist and a psychiatrist. She was from Russia in the late 20s when she was working on her doctoral thesis. And for 10 points, if you know her middle name, it's Wulfovna. Don't know why that matters, but now you know. She did a lot with the Berlin School of Experimental Psychology. Now, if you've done a lot of studies there, you know what that means, but otherwise, it doesn't matter. But let me tell you what happened. She was in a cafe in Vienna. She was watching waiters and waitresses, and she observed that a waiter or waitress could remember everything someone had ordered. But once the food was delivered, the waiter or waitress forgot everything. Now she started thinking about that, and she realized that it's easy to remember everything about an uncompleted task, but once the task is completed, the memory immediately started to fade. So she found out that uncompleted tasks will hold on to your memory, improve the recall, and help us remember. And what happens, we have this intrusive, almost nagging thought about that goal or objective or something we were supposed to do. It's built into our psyche. We want to finish what we start. Let me give you a few examples. What about television and even news programs? So right before the commercial break, the newscasters start talking about, oh no, your water's going to kill you, something's going to happen. It piques your interest. What if? You start flipping the channel, but you want to stay tuned. You wanted to eat, but you got to find out the rest of the story. You also see this in movies and dramas, or when you're watching Netflix, and they are expert in getting you to watch the next episode. See, what they do is they leave something incomplete right before the commercial break or right before the next episode, and that draws our attention. It keeps us involved and motivates us to continue to watch. Right before the commercial, the knife comes up. We're all scared what's going to happen. Commercial, you got to stay tuned. It's unfinished. You see, we don't feel satisfaction until we receive closure, resolution to the message or to the goal or any aspect of our life. See, these incomplete tasks trigger thoughts, and the thoughts of these incomplete tasks trigger more memory retention. And the more memory retention triggers anxiety, that triggers more thoughts of the uncompleted business. Let me give you another example. The courtroom. People feel confident and impressed with the information they discover for themselves, a little bit at a time. As a persuader, you must realize that you disperse the information slow rather than fast. Because if you do large volumes of information, we tend to forget it. You see, a good lawyer doesn't disclose everything about the case. They do a little bit at a time. They discover it's unfinished as the trial progresses. And the jury can fill the blanks for themselves. We love the data dump, but it doesn't stick as well as a little information at a time, solving the puzzle a little bit at a time. The jury discovers the answers for themselves, and they are more likely to arrive at the desired conclusion. Let me give you a study. Solving puzzles. You see, Bluma Zeigarnik just didn't leave it at the cafe in Vienna. She went back to her laboratory. She conducted studies which subjects were required to complete various puzzles, right? So some of the subjects were interrupted right in the middle of these puzzles. All the subjects were then asked to describe what tasks they have done. Now here's what's interesting. It turns out that the adults remember the interrupted, uncompleted tasks 90% better than the completed ones. In other words, uncompleted tasks will stay on your mind until you finish them. So what does this mean to you as a persuader? Well, you cannot data dump, help them discover, help them solve the puzzle, and when you can leave something uncompleted, they'll remember it more. And this is especially important with voicemail. Now, a couple things you need to understand here. First of all, you've got to listen. Peg their personality. Adapt to their personality based on the voicemail. Well, I wouldn't leave a message unless you've tried a few times. But if you can't get through, you have to leave a message. And when you do, use the Zeigarnik effect. How? Something that's uncompleted. They'll remember you more. Doesn't guarantee they're going to call you back, but it increases the chances. Hey, I found that study you're looking for. Hey, I've solved your problem. You'll be so excited to see what I found out. I finally resolved, fill in the blank. You're going to be floored when I tell you the story. all unresolved. You leave that on the voicemail, statistically it increases that they're going to call you back. So when you're doing a presentation, when you're leaving a voicemail, leave some things unfinished. If you want them to call you back, this goes a long way. Use the Zeigarnik effect. If you want them to remember you, your product, or your service, leave something unfinished, especially when you call them back and you want them to call you back. It makes a huge difference in the ability to persuade and influence.